Shalom. There is a saying. There's a saying, and it goes like, you always receive the most flack when you're over the target. Now, that saying is, its basic meaning is derived from basically a war military type setting where when bomber planes were attempting to approach their target, they would start to receive a lot of anti-air fire from the gun emplacements that are guarding that target. And that anti-air fire would be referred to as flak. So the saying that you receive the most flak when you're over the target basically means that when you're hitting close or on a sensitive point that people don't want hit on, that people don't want talked about, or don't want researched, you routinely run into efforts that are meant to stop that talk, that research. Like if you are revealing an inconvenient truth, efforts will start to be used to make it harder for you to reveal that truth. If you're talking about a sensitive subject, efforts will pick up to derail your talking of that sensitive subject, to try to change the subject. So typically when you start to run into opposition, it routinely means that you've hit on something, whether you realize it or not. Now, I've recently become victim of this, and it's very surprising considering that this little channel that I have here is obscure. Hardly anyone. I don't have any members worth anything, so it's strange that I, of all people, would receive some type of flack. And I believe it's in regards to the video that I posted about the final war, Armageddon. That's when the problems really started. Because the last video I posted, the one about these camps and various Israelite groups that are very disruptive and always fighting with each other, I had the hardest time uploading that video. In fact, I couldn't upload it, which was very unusual. I must have tried like 10 times, and the upload would always stop at around, I don't know, maybe 5%, and it would just stick there. So for the longest, I thought it was something wrong with the YouTube servers or something like that. But something told me, just kind of on a whim, or maybe it wasn't a whim, something told me to just check my router logs. Just to check the log files for my router, just to see what's happening. And lo and behold, when I looked at the log files, I come to find out that I'm apparently now the victim of a DOSing campaign. Denial of service campaign. Basically what that is from what I remember about this kind of stuff, it's a form of hacking an internet connection where the intruder basically attempts to overload your router with a bunch of spamming requests that your router will initially deny. But if these requests come for a long period of time in a high enough volume, it can start to screw up your router. And when your router starts becoming screwy and buggy acting, this can allow the intruder to gain entrance. And so I saw these denial of service attacks, and I remembered that for the last month or so, I guess ever since I posted that video on Armageddon, I had been experiencing, or it might have been a little bit before that, and if it was before that, I really don't know what set this off. But I had been experiencing frequent network disconnections with my router. The Wi-Fi would go off, it would go in and out, just strange little stuff like that, and I back then I didn't really know what was going on, but now that I think about it, I guess that was a sign of the router becoming overloaded by these DOS attacks, and as a result, it started acting funky. And when it started acting funky, the Wi-Fi went out. So apparently I hit on something. But even after seeing the DOS attacks in my router log, I still was not convinced. I still wasn't convinced. I thought maybe, because a lot of times those DOS attacks can be false negatives. They can actually turn out to be, devices that are connected to your router that, are making some type of requests and stuff like that. And then, your router interprets it the wrong way. And it ends up being basically, it'll come up in your logs as a DOS attack of some type. But in reality, it's just kind of it's a false positive. But I still wasn't convinced that I was being attacked, basically. Until I decided, again on a whim, to fire up the old VPN again, Virtual Private Network. Now, back when I used to post on topics, African American Forum, I always used to use my VPN, because they quite literally were blocking my IP, my normal IP on that site. So I had to use the VPN and switch from various hosts, servers, because eventually they would start actually blocking the IP of a particular host server. Those guys, they were very aggressive on that damn site, trying to keep the narrative under their control. And all that did was fuel me. I was like a shark that smelled blood in the water. And that's why I just kept going at them and going at them and going at them. And if the site was still up, I would still be going at them to this day. So, but anyway, I fired up the old VPN. Haven't used it since topics shut down. And I decided to try to upload a video while connected to the VPN. And lo and behold, it worked. The video uploaded quickly, like it normally always did. So I don't know all that much about networking, but the fact that I had to connect to a virtual private network, which would mask my IP address as the IP address of the server that I've connected to. And I was able to upload a video that way, but I was not able to upload a video just directly using my own IP address. The only thing I can assume is that YouTube is doing some type of shadow banning or blocking of uploading videos to their servers from my IP address. And again, it's like, wow. I mean, my channel, I have like 5 members maybe. My videos get like average views around 0 to 5 views. I mean, my channel, and I'm the victim of this kind of mess. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I hear these people on these way more popular channels talk about happening to them. People who have thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers and everything. That's the kind of stuff I hear happening to them. But for some reason, it's happening to me. And so that takes me back to the saying. You always receive the most flack when you're over the target. And it apparently doesn't matter if there's anybody listening to you or not. So the question is, what is the target? What is it that I've said that's frightened someone? What is it exactly? I have no idea. But all I know is that it is assured that there has been some type of campaign, some kind of hacking campaign orchestrated against my network connection. No doubt. Well, yeah. As I've said before, on the 10th of December, YouTube is planning on instituting a new brand of terms of service for their site. A lot of people are predicting that this will signify the long predicted purging of various YouTube channels that are not exactly towing the official line of current events. A lot of people think that a lot of alternative news channels will be axed. I personally believe that a lot of pro-black channels will be axed. A lot of black channels where, more separatist type ideology is being preached, more black nationality type ideology, ADOS type channels, and especially Hebrew Israelite channels. I do believe all these channels are going to be in danger come the 10th of December. But there's one other thing that should be considered. is that we know our enemies have always attempted to hijack narratives. They've always attempted to swing us away from the Most High, Yahuwah. Now they know that they cannot stop this movement, even if they delete every single Hebrew Israelite channel out there. This is like Pandora's box. It is open and everything is coming out. There's no closing it again. So what they may attempt to do is that I've always had a suspicion that there are compromised Hebrew Israelite groups within our community. There are some people who are not as truthful when it comes to this. There are some people who are following a ulterior motive that is attempting to do what has always been done to our people: lead us astray. I would imagine that these particular channels will probably survive the purge. It only makes sense. The channels that are legitimate and sincere won't. So this could be a time of understanding for our people, to really come to understand who is who and where certain narratives are actually coming from. The channels that survive the purge will obviously be towing a certain line of thought that our enemies want us to have about ourselves, about the Most High. While the channels that don't are more true to the word and what we really need to do. So that's something that we need to look out for. Could be possible that no Israelite channels will be taken offline. It could also be possible that they all get taken offline. But if we see a scenario where some go and others don't, we really need to consider what it is that the channels that got deleted were saying, and compare that to what the channels that weren't deleted are saying. And perhaps from that point, we can gain greater insight and discernment. Shalom.